guys, I know it has been a while since my last tutorial, but I have been so busy studying, doing stuff, developing stuff and so on that I didn't have much time to do any new tutorial. But today I'm going to show you, actually to my fellow animators, how to modify a rig quickly. It just is not the universal way, it's one of the way and how I like to modify rigs. Okay, so the reason why I want to do that is because lately I had a couple of animators coming to me asking to modify the rig, mostly on the face, and the process is always the same. It is really not that complex if you are careful on what you do. So what I want to try to do is like showing how to do that to you guys, so you can do that yourself, because it's quite simple and you should be able to do that no problem. Okay, so this is Lucy rig. It's coming from I animate when I was still in doing some animation lectures. And as you guys can see, this rig has also been modified already, because before he had different topology, sorry, different proportion in the head. You can see that those are actually the lip bones and are not matching anymore because the rig has been modified. And don't worry, the rig works fine, everything is fine. And also the head are shorter and so on. So we will see how we can get into the rig, what are the steps, sorry, to take in order to don't break the rig and have everything working still. Okay, so for example, for this rig they asked me to give some more control over the face, for example on the nose and basically everywhere you want to add control. So usually the way I like to do that, or actually any mod, mostly on the face, is like piping my deformation through a blend shape. Okay, so I create a blend shape, I do everything on there. It's going to be a live blend shape, so basically I'm not going to sculpt something, but I'm going to deform the blend shape, and the blend shape will be piped inside the mesh before everything in order to keep the deformation. In this way you can layer different meshes, sorry, different transform and so on. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, that's really simple. Let's just jump right into it. So I didn't touch the rig yet, so I don't know that much how it's done because I didn't make the rig. I've, I'm not sure who made the rig, but it might be from Vinyls. Not sure, but anyway. So I really don't know the type of the rigger that did that, what's its style. So we try to figure out what it did and how it did in order to make our way in. Okay. So the first thing I might want to do is being able to select the geometry, and actually I can do that. And I see it is smooth. So actually, let's hide everything which is not geometry. Okay, let's select everything and let's press 1. So in this way it's not smooth anymore, and we're gonna gain a little bit of performance out there. Alright, let's show everything now. So let's see these layers. Okay, so that's the hair. I'm not gonna touch the hair most likely. And this is the whole body. Okay, sounds good. Nothing to do here. So let's select the geometry. So I don't want to select the bones right now. So okay. So holy cow, we have quite a bit of stuff here, because I think this rig is already a mod, so there is a lot of other stuff on top. So we can see here we have a smooth, the poly smooth there on top of everything. That sounds good. There is a poly soft edge, poly normal, which I don't really know what it does, but doesn't matter. There is the skin cluster. Okay, so here we have the skin cluster. Before the skin cluster, it looks like we have a lattice. Okay, and then we have a series of blend shapes. Okay, sounds good to me. Alright, cool. So what I want to do is be able to pipe my blend shape in there. Okay, so in order to do that, we are going to hook up our shape on this blend shape here. Okay, because I don't want to create another blend shape, because I can apply more blend shape on a mesh, but the blend shape are going to override one or the other, you know. So if I put a blend shape here before that, probably the head blend shape is going to override what I did. So I can just hook up to this one, it's totally fine. But in order to create a blend shape, I need a clean geometry. Okay, so a geometry without any deformation, Because if I grab the geometry as it is right now, it's most likely already deformed by its original. So when I pipe my new blend shape, I'm going to apply extra deformation, which I don't want. So the thing that I usually do is I remove everything I can from the face, any influence, okay? So all the deformers most likely. So I can start here. We have a subdivision which is not doing anything right now, because if I reduce that to 0, it's not doing anything, so that's fine. Polysoft edge is not modifying anything, just for the normals. Same for this one, but skin cluster, I want to remove skin cluster, okay, didn't do anything. I want to remove the, sorry, the lattice, so nothing moved, and I want to remove the blend shape. Oh, here we go, we see? Something moved here. And if I didn't remove that, we were going to apply deformation all over again, so that's not good. So now I remove everything, I believe, so it should be fine. So I can duplicate that, unlock everything. Let's move it to the side like that. Alright, seems about right. So now let's remove that, let's rename that, sorry, and let's call it Lucy Extra Geo. Okay, or actually BLS, which stands for blend shape in my syntax, naming syntax, okay, naming convention. So now what we want trying to do is add this blend shape to the current geometry to see if anything moves. If nothing moves, it means we did a good job and we are good to go. So edit the former blend shape add. So we want to pick the right node. Let's see. Holy cow, we have a lot of blend shape, but I think it's head blend shape. Yes, we have it here. Head blend shape, perfect. So apply and close. So first of all, I want to add back in all our deformers. Here we go. Let's see. What else? The lattice back in, and also the skin cluster. Skin cluster. Here we go. It's back in. Okay, so everything is in. Also the blend shape's fine. So now let's try to trigger our mesh. Cool. Looks like nothing moved. So let's check better. Okay, looks fine. So guys, guess what? We are good to go. So now let's see what happens. If I select this mesh, which is piped through a blend shape, okay, and I deform it, you see the deformation is applied to the body. It doesn't matter, since we are piping that through a blend shape before a skin cluster, you see the all the deformation is following correctly. Okay, so now on this blend shape mesh we can do everything we want. Okay, so now for example we want to modify the nose. There are several ways you can do that. You can use any deformer pretty much, but like a cluster, a white deformer, or actually joints. I would rather go with joints because joints you can just paint the weights quite easily. Instead the cluster, if you didn't grab enough polygons or vertices, you will need to delete the cluster, do again the cluster, or add more vertices, which might not be that easy for the animator. So the things I'm going to do now is just add a control, so a bone to the tip, okay, like that. I want to add it to the tip, so let's show the wireframe. Let's create a bone right on the tip of the nose. Okay, like that. Now, in order to be able to give just some influence to this bone, I actually need to have another bone, which I usually call a zero bone. Okay, so it doesn't matter which this bone is. This bone is just going to get weights, for example, from the wall head. So basically it's a weight holder, okay? We don't use that to anything, we don't move that around, okay? So let's rename really quick. This is going to be the 0 GNT Let's move that. And this is going to be nose tip. Oops. Oh, actually, I cannot select joints so like that. Nose tip chain key. Alright. So now just select the bones, the geometry, and let's make a skin cluster. So create the former. Oh, actually, skin by skin, smooth bind. So we can use the selected joints, and we can leave the default parameters. Okay. So let's see how messy are we. Okay, let's parent out our extra geometry. So we have it there. Now, the way I'm going to connect these bones to the controls on the face is with direct connection. Okay, and we are going to see later why. But in order to have easy easy connection, so no popping, and we don't have to maintain offset, the best way is to zero out this this joint. Okay, so there are a couple of ways you can zero out a joint. You can just create a group in the same position, and that's what we're going to do, or you can actually freeze the transform. Personally, I never freeze pretty much anything unless I'm really sure of what I'm doing. Okay, so usually 90% of the time I don't freeze anything and I just create an offset group, and that's really easy. So you press Ctrl G, so you create an empty null. You shift select the bone, you press P, and then you zero out translation and rotation, and you're done. You parent that to the word, you grab your joint, and you're parented under the null, and you see now nose tip is to 0 because the local transformation from the null is 0. Everything is 0, so we just rename that nose tip grp. Okay, really simple. And now we can just pay quickly some weights. So I want to select the first the 0 joint, and I want to flat that to 1. Okay, so all the influence now is to this joint. Now I switch the joint I want to paint, so this bone here. So here I'm painting nose tip, and I'm just going to paint, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, just an example. So then the animator actually can choose based on what you want to achieve how much to paint. Yeah, that looks fine to me. So now let's just going to smooth a little around. Yeah, that looks fine to me. Let's smooth a little bit more. Okay, so you're gonna get like a soft selection basically. Okay, looks fine to me. That again doesn't need to be perfect, it's just a demo, but it gives you an idea to what you want to achieve. So now if we translate this bone, you see we're actually deforming the nose, which is deforming the geometry there. It's actually, you can also scale the nose. If you want to scale the nose, probably you might want to have this joint a little bit more in, so you get a better skin. But again, yeah, so you see that it's not getting at the best scale ever. So you might want to have the pivot a little bit more in, but actually let's do that because it's better to do that. So what I'm going to do, let's see if actually the move skinlet joint works. So edit move skin, and let's see, move, but not this one. I don't remember where it is. Move skin and joints tool. Okay, perfect. So now I just want to grab this bone and why doesn't work? Right, let's try it again. Skin, edit move skin and joint tool. Okay, alright, now it works. So let's place it like somewhere around here. Looks fine to me. Let's see if everything is fine. Yes. So now if we scale, we get a better scale in there. Okay, everything is fine. So we also get some nice rotation, but we need actually to fix um, the offset group, because the offset group is not matching anymore. So let's switch the partnership again. Let's zero out. Let's parent to the word, and let's set again our nose joint back under the nose tip. Alright, so that's it. Last things we have to do is create the control. So let's create a simple circle. I don't want to draw that in the grid. I hate when that happens. Anyway, let's create one. Let's group it at the origin, and let's parent this under the nose. Let's zero out. Let's place it. So let's scale the shape a little bit more down. Let's move it out, and let's rotate. Looks about right, maybe a little bit too big. Yeah, like that looks fine to me. Oops. So this is going to be our control. So maybe we want to give it a yellow color. Let's do that really quick. Drawing overrides, and let's give yellow color like that. So you guys might have noticed I'm not explaining every single basic step, like how to change the color of a control, okay? So I expect you guys to have a little bit of know-how in Maya, so how to do a basic stuff, okay? Alright, so now that we did that, we can just, let's parent out that from under the nose, and we can just zero out the X value. So we are back on our rig here. If you guys want, has the proportion are slightly changed, you can fix again the position, so having it like slightly higher the shape, but I don't really care right now. It's a simple test. So the last things we have to do, actually first we need to rename, then it's going to be nose tip grp, and nose tip, actually this one is the grp, this one is the cnt, stands for control. Alright, so now what we want to do, since we are going to deform with direct connection, we want this control to follow everything the head does, but without getting translated or deform the space which is in. So we can just select the head control, the nose tip group, and do a parent constraint. Alright, so let's see if the controls follow. Yeah, everything is fine. So let's rename this one, because still there was a clashing name in there. Alright, we are almost done. So now let's select both the nose and the control. Let's load that in the connection editor. Actually, I picked up the group I want the control, so let's pick translate. So translate, and let's connect to the translate of the bone, and let's see if anything bad happened. Now everything is fine. Let's do the same with rotate, rotate, and the scale, scale, and scale. Perfect. So let's see if everything works. So I move the head around that, and then I grab my control. I want to grab the control. Here we go. So see, we added the extra deformation we wanted right there. So you can apply that on the cheeks, on the eyebrow, anywhere you want, okay? So now let's just do a small cleanup. So let's group all the stuff we created, and let's call it nose extra grp, like that. So now it's up to you if you want to try to parent that inside the rig. If you want to do that, I suggest you to remove inherit transform, okay? so stuff don't get messy. We don't inherit transform we don't want, because most likely we don't want to scale the head. Okay, and now we can just hide everything except the control. Okay, so that's the rig exactly as we got it, but we added this extra control. Okay, so if you want, you can still hook up the attribute, sorry, the visibility to an attribute, and we can do that really quick. So add attribute, let's call it nose tip. Let's create a boolean. There we go. So let's select the head control, the tip nose control. Let's fire the connection editor, and let's connect the nose tip and next space nose tip inside the visibility. There we go. So now by default is 0, so it's off, but we can pull it back on if you want to. Okay, so that's how easily you can modify a rig and add some extra deformation in there. So as I said before, I try to cover, that's just an example, okay? So that technique should work for most of the rigs, but if there is quite complex stuff going on in the rig, or weird stuff, let's say stuff that shouldn't be happening, dirty stuff in the rig, so that maybe another animator did, or anything, it might get a little bit trickier. But if you follow these tips, so removing all the deformation, create a blend shape, or pipe the blend shape through an existing blend shape, and so on, everything should be fine. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial, guys. So share it around and have fun animating. Bye bye.